And we are live. Wow. That was not quite the way I kind of envisioned the last 20 minutes of the season going. But here we are with a 4-2 win into some European competition. I don't think a lot of us know a whole lot about. Yeah, I mean, I think like the abject thing for me originally was, hey, I want to end today on a positive note. That was like the first thing I basically tweeted today was I want to finish today on a positive note, and we did that, and that to me is awesome. Like, I'm excited about that. But real quick, while I get us set up here, Andres, why don't you run down your thoughts, your overall thoughts about how you're feeling today?
Oh man, what a roller coaster, man. Truly a roller coaster. I was pretty upset, like up to like 60 minutes, had like that faint glimmer of hope when Kane got like our only shot on target past Schmeichel's legs.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. It was a pretty torrid performance. And to be completely honest, like, this isn't all on Ryan Mason, right? We can't ignore the fact that Mourinho and like his, training program had players thinking kind of just out of whack this entire season. So it's pretty telling that there were rumors and leaks that Mourinho didn't really do a whole lot of attacking training, right? And I don't really buy into leaks and rumors and hearsay, but that's the exact same thing that came out of the Manchester United camp as well. And you saw towards the end of Mourinho's reign there,
Right.
You saw them struggle attacking wise, and we saw the exact same thing happen at Spurs, just in a shorter amount of time. So I don't expect Ryan Mason to just it's his fifth or sixth coaching experience here, right? In the sense that like it's his fifth or sixth game.
It's also his last coaching experience here.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, which is good. But I don't expect them to fix all of the issues that Spurs had, right? That said, it still makes it just as frustrating to watch us not know how to do anything around the final third, right? Like, the only reason that Gareth Bale scored those 2 goals is because Leicester were pushing up a lot, and that was opening up a lot of space in the back for Leicester.
Yeah.
Granted, like, I'm glad that he exploited that space, and it does take like a footballer's brain, of course, to pull off those finishes. But it wasn't like a system that Spurs had, right? So I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here, but I'm just more excited. I'm even more excited to see next season how we develop our attacking program.
Yeah, I just I found a page here with some of the teams that we're going to be facing in next year's competition. You want to see it real quick?
Yeah, I saw. I pulled up on the wiki.
I can't even pronounce half of these team names. I mean, I think there's a Macedonian team in here. This Yarn from
there's a couple.
Iceland.
There's a couple of Slovakian teams,
yeah.
But those are all in the second qualifying round. So we've already, by virtue of being seventh in the Premier League, we're already in the playoff round.
Oh yeah, but here's the thing: we're going to be playing some of these teams, and wait for our match preview where we have to go over, our qualifying round against, or I guess our tournament round against Inter Turku from Finland. So. Let's start wrapping our heads around that. But before we get like all crazy, let's talk about the main man himself, the guy who opened up the scoring board for us. Golden Boot winner.
Yeah. Happy for him.
Assist leader.
Yeah.
Before we get into the negatives of what's happening or what could be happening, or I think this is probably one of his best seasons from an individual standpoint. Performance-wise, obviously, probably wins Premier League Player of the Year. I'm guessing it's either him or De Bruyne, probably. But I think he'll get it. They've never had, I don't think, or at least it's been a really long time since they've had a Golden Boot winner and an assist leader in the same player. So I think they'd be hard pressed not to give it to Harry. Again, I mean, what are your thoughts on his performance today? I thought he kind of like came in and out for a while. People were saying, it looked like he was like subbed off. He just wasn't there. He especially had pretty poor touches in the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't think he had his best match. I thought it was a hell of a finish on that goal. By the way,
it truly was. That
finish.
takes a lot of skill.
Yeah,
that takes a lot of skill.
But when he did not, again, shades of England in the semifinals, right? I mean, when he didn't square it off to Sterling, Son. I immediately thought, I'm like, oh man, I didn't know. I just didn't have a lot of confidence that this was going to end well. But I thought, Gareth Bale came in and kind of saved the day a little bit, especially for HK. But yeah, you can't take that finish away from him, huh?
No, you really can't. And he did have some not so great touches throughout the match, but dude, Golden Boot winner, top assist in the league. We're never gonna have another player like Kane. I really don't think so. Kane is just
100%.
Kane, it is truly generational, right? So yeah, these matches happen, but even then, right? Didn't have great influence in the game. Still scores a goal. So
let's talk about that then, because I feel like a lot of people on especially our website, and as you know, Carly Free Captain is a collection of individuals, not just one or two. It's a whole bunch of us. There were some negative. I don't want to say people said negative things about her, but I think this was like one of the first real times where people took a step back and started, to really say some not disparaging. I'm not really trying to go color too far out of the lines here, but a little bit of like a negative viewpoint of Harry. And I don't know. I felt like a lot of it, not that it was unfair, because I don't think between the timing of Harry's interview with Gary Neville, and of course, obviously, he may be on to bigger things or in his mind better things, but I don't know. I think this is going to be a small footnote when we look back in 5, 10, 15 years and we say, man, I've always wanted, it would be great to go back to the days when we had a striker like that. I mean, he's irreplaceable, and I just don't think I think a lot of people lose focus of that sometimes.
I think when you have a player this good playing for you for so long, you're bound to take him for granted. You're bound to just think this is just how this is how teams are, right? They just have a really good player, and it always feels this way. That's just not the case, right? And if Kane goes, every Spurs fan will miss him. Absolutely. Regardless of if he goes for $100 million or $200 million, and all of that money is reinvested, no player will have that same effect on Spurs in the next 5 years. That I'm willing to die on that hill, because Kane, like you said, is a generational player, grew up with Spurs, bleeds Spurs, and it just so happens he's just ready for the next venture. Listen, I think that's totally understandable, right? I have no problem with him interviewing with Gary Neville, to be completely honest. I see no issue with that whatsoever. I do see an issue with Daniel Levy not investing in the club when he should have been, not backing the right manager, not putting up an extra $5 million for a player like Jack Grealish, right? Those are the things that Spurs fans should be upset about, because it's for those business decisions that Spurs are now 7th in the Europa League conference, right? So again, I have no issues with a player saying of Kane's stature, saying, you know what, I might be thinking about my next step. Why wouldn't he be?
Yeah.
Literally, why wouldn't he be? Right. That said, I don't know if anyone can afford him, and we've talked about this every weekend. I really don't know if anyone can afford him, because I would imagine that Levy would want at least 120 million, if not, 150.
Yeah, Charlie, aka a top lad, my boy, West Ham fan, but he says transitional season for Spurs incoming, and maybe, and people keep saying it's going to look like the Bale scenario, where we brought in the Magnificent Seven. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I'm an eternal optimist. I'm hoping for the best. Do you want to hear what Bale had to say after the match?
Yeah, but before we go to Bale, just very quickly, Chelsea brought in like 6 or 7 new players this past season, and look at how they're playing, and look at how they've gelled. So just because we have this literal trauma of the Magnificent Seven, does not like past results have no bearing in the future. So I think everyone should remember that. Sorry,
Eden Hazard isn't Harry Kane.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Oh, you're saying that like it's easier to replace Hazard.
Chelsea has a much better foundation. We're at a point right now where we have incredibly inexperienced young players. We're good, lots of potential, and then we have players that should have left 5 years ago. And that's
why I'm hoping for a transition period. Yeah. I don't care if next season we finish 6th or even 7th again, but as long as we bring in new players and ship out the old players that are frankly just not needed at the squad anymore. And I think it's very, very clear who those players are, but we can get into it later. Here, let's listen to what Bale had to say.
I'm going to read it to you. I don't have audio on it yet, but he said basically, he told Sky after the match, he goes, I know what I'm doing, but I'll just cause chaos if I say anything, when he's asked about whether or not he's going to come back, which really could be viewed as 2 ways. One, cause chaos is a little bit of a... I don't know that he means Tottenham when he says cause chaos. I think if anything, cause chaos might be more for Real Madrid, maybe. I'm not sure, but that was his first response. He said, "I'm not going to make any decision. I'm not going to announce anything till after the Euros." But they already know what they're doing, which is interesting. So. And Charlie's right. I mean, it's not really necessarily a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. In fact, last week, after when we had this live show after, I think we mentioned how it may even be good for Spurs to like have no Europe for a year.
Yeah, right.
Just to kind of take a step back and bring back Sessegnon from loan and we'll have Oliver Skip and we'll get to kind of rework our entire system. And, whatever new blood does come in if we do end up selling Harry Kane. Here's the other thing. This Kane decision needs to be made quick.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we cannot... The problem is if we sell Harry Kane today, hypothetically, every club in the globe is going to know how desperate we are to bring in new talent. And everybody we're interested in is now going to be for that much more money. And we've seen Levy ball, which is like money ball with Daniel Levy. And it's not necessarily how he operates. So I don't know. It's going to be very, very bizarre trying to bring people in, not really knowing exactly what's going to happen. So I think this transition and bringing players in is going to be over the course of a couple of years, not necessarily just this summer.
I think I would agree, but I think you have to look at it from the flip side as well, right? Just as we'd be desperate to bring in a Kane replacement, every club right now in the world is desperate for some sort of cash flow, right? So that I think does even out. I'm not saying that we're going to be able to pick up, a KDB at 15 million, right? But if we're smart about how we approach the market and the clubs that we talk to, there are absolutely some really, really good players that we could pick up less than what they're worth. So again, this is something that we spoke about last week. Let's see a little bit of creativity in our transfer dealings. Let's not just pick up, Premier League proven players, because sometimes that just doesn't work, right? Or it takes a very long time to work, as seen with Maguire. Another note that I wanted to add on to that: do you want Bale to stay? Would you want him to stay next season?
Yeah. Absolutely, I do. I think he was probably, I think it was a real shame Mourinho didn't use him earlier in the year. I think we'd be looking at somebody with probably, 10 to 15 goals, whatever. I think, he doesn't have the pace that he does. He has a different game altogether, admittedly.
Yeah.
Even right before we went up 3-2, when he came on, I was like, oh, man, he's going to do that thing where he doesn't track back. And he doesn't defend.
That's exactly what I thought.
He was lingering like on the line, and I was like, "Come on, we gotta get back and defend." And then he just turned it all around, and he had that when Harry made the cutback after his non-handball, or I guess it wasn't handball, but they didn't call it as being towards or in play towards a goal. When he cut back and he made that assist to him. I didn't even think Bale was anywhere near there. I thought he was still...
he was like off camera.
Yeah.
Like you could not see him, and then he makes the late run, which is
that was really surprising. For a second, I thought it was Winks, and I thought my vision of a Harry Winks winner was going to come true. But no, it was Bale, and he puts that away, 99 times out of 100. And I think there's absolutely room for a player. Will Madrid keep the same structure, the same loan structure where they pay for most of it? Probably not. I don't know if it's in the contract where they do. We don't really know the details. I don't think anybody really does, as far as what an extension might look like. But yeah, under the same circumstances where it doesn't cost us a whole lot, 100%.
I agree, actually. Like, I think if it doesn't cost us a whole lot, if we don't have to take on his wages completely, or even like anywhere close to 60% of it, I think it's worth it. I also really like that he and Bergwijn are sharing game time. And that's what we saw the last 2 or 3 games. Who knows if that's going to continue with the new manager, whoever that might be. But I do like that Mason started Bergwijn and is working, like laying those foundations for the future for Spurs, even though he knows that it's guaranteed that he's not going to be a part of that the head as a head coach, right? I have also been thinking a lot about Winks, man, and I think I understand why people dislike him so much. It's because he's a distinctly average player. That's it. He's not a horrible player.
He wasn't that bad today. Honestly.
I really don't think he's that horrible. I think he gets a lot of stick because he's small and he looks like he makes a lot of mistakes. He does make mistakes, but he also has like a side of him that he does bring a little bit to the game. So the reason that people dislike him so much is because he is distinctly average and he's benching a non-distinctly average, aka a top-class player in Ndombele, and that's why people kind of, give Winks stick, because you're comparing Winks to Ndombele, which of course, there's no comparison, right? One player is clearly better than the other. So
I have more Gareth Bale quotes, especially about he talks about Harry Kane a little bit too. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
You also have a position that people want to know whether or not you'll be staying at Spurs or returning to your parent club. Have you made that decision?
It'll just have to happen after the Euros. I know what I'm doing, but it'll just cause chaos if I say anything.
Okay, fair enough. What about the future of Harry Kane? I have to ask that question as well, because you might not know the answer.
I don't know.
If Harry does leave this club, how much of a hole will he leave?
No, he's a fantastic player. No one can deny that, and he's had another fantastic season again. But he's a Tottenham Hotspur player. Everyone wants him here at the club. He's a massive player for us here, and everyone wants him to stay. Okay,
and that decision you say you've already made in your heart, you know where you're going. You'll let the Euros happen, and then how quickly will people know your decision after that?
Here.
How quickly will people know your decision after the Euros?
Whenever I decide. I'm not thinking about anything. All I'm concentrating on now is obviously finishing this season off strong, and we meet up straight away for the Euros, and I'm not thinking about anything else other than Wales.
Well,
yeah,
that's that. He's not wrong.
Pretty standard, right?
Yeah.
I have a prediction for the Euros. I think Harry Kane's going to get injured. I really do. I'm not hoping for it by any means, right? I want him to succeed and everything that he does, because I genuinely do love the guy. But given his injury record, given how like things are lining up where he is desperate to go, I don't know.
I disagree. Only because I think he is a smarter player in that sense than he was last year or 2 years ago. You don't see him diving into challenges as much anymore.
Do you want to make a bet?
I'll make a bet.
Let's make a bet.
You know what? Let's make a bet. One local pizza and done through DoorDash.
Okay, sounds good. All right, hold on.
Deal.
Let me write this down.
Now it's on
one
camera.
look. All right, so I say that he will pick up an injury that will keep him sidelined for any number of matches, any number of days in the Euros, and you say that he will not pick up an injury, right?
Correct.
Okay. I'm gonna put this on my whiteboard, baby.
He has to miss a match. He can't.
Yes.
He can't just be like, he sat out of training and kept his ankles.
He has to miss a match.
Good. All right.
Sidelined from at least one match.
Deal. I'm down for that.
Okay.
Weren't you sad? The player that deserves a statue the most we didn't get to see today on the pitch.
I don't know who you're talking about.
How do you not know that Eric Lamela?
Eric Lamela. Wow, Coco.
Yeah. Coco Lamela.
Coco.
I was surprised. I thought he would get a run out. Even last week, I thought he would get a run out, especially with the fans. I mean, he's probably the number one player. Everybody's kind of slated to leave. And with Italian clubs galore and Boca Juniors, and he's got a bunch of different options. I even saw like Poch may want him at PSG if Poch stays at PSG. I mean, there's just there's a lot there, but I was surprised that we didn't get to see him one last time, which I thought was a real shame.
Yeah, I actually agree. It's not something that I had thought about, but it does feel kind of weird that we may have seen the last of him already.
Yeah.
I think that he should move on. Not because he's, whenever I say a player should move on, it's not really because, apart from maybe Moussa Sissoko, it's not because I don't think that they add anything to the team. It's just more so like, you've been here for a long time.
Right.
You've hit your heights here. And like, let's see you succeed elsewhere. And that also equips the team to move on collectively as well.
So send me an image of Arsenal fans holding up St. Tottering Day, 23rd of May.
Love it. So actually, before last week, we spoke about how maybe it's good for Spurs to sit out of Europe for a season. But during the game today, I realized how much I wanted to beat Leicester, and I realized how much it meant to finish above Arsenal again, especially given the atrocious season that we've had. Especially with Leicester, with Vardy buying that second penalty. That was not a penalty.
It was not. Let's talk about that, because there was like one person who disagreed with me on Twitter, and he was like, well, you should know better to interlock arms with one of the most dangerous interlockers. I'm like, what? Yeah, that's what he's known for, his dangerous interlocking. And no, it was bizarre. The first was a penalty, obviously. Obviously it's a penalty all day. The second, clearly not. I mean, first of all, it started outside the box, right? So let's just get that out of the way, which nobody talked about. It started outside the box. Vardy put his arm around his. He had him beat, no doubt, but he put his arm around his, and then as soon as he got his arm around, he did a rollover and played that up, and whatever. Credit to Vardy, he's been doing. I have to say, the guy for every single year, I think this is the year Vardy kind of starts to slow down. He just plays at such a high level and does such a great job. So kudos to him. A little opposition praise, but
I really dislike him. I can't give him praise. I really dislike him. I think
I know we're supposed to. But...
Leicester are my West Ham.
Really?
Yeah, I like outside of course Chelsea and Arsenal. I really, really dislike Leicester.
Interesting. Well, praise aside, that was not a penalty, and I actually thought I don't think Sanchez played all that terribly today for the first time in seeing him in a few weeks.
I genuinely think that he actually played well. Yeah. I thought that he won I think 3 out of 3 1v1s against Jamie Vardy, which my dislike aside, to your point, good player, right? And very dangerous on 1-1 situations. So kudos to Davi for playing well after sitting out the last 4 or 5 games.
Yep.
That's not easy to do.
No.
So I really do think that he deserves some credit there. It also goes to show just how bad or how wrong refereeing decisions can be sometimes. Anthony Taylor clearly misses a very clear penalty on the first call and has to go to VAR, right? And then clearly misjudges the second penalty call by saying, it's a clear penalty when it's not, but there's enough there that it can't be overturned by VAR.
Yeah.
It's just and then not to mention, of course, Harry Kane's handball, which I'm all for, right? But we've had goals called back in the past for that. So.
For sure. I think we have, but we've also had the benefit of that too, especially when we play Liverpool or City. I don't remember which one. But we've seen both sides of that. Everybody seems to be celebrating finishing ahead of Arsenal. I am not going to do that today. I don't care.
Why not? Why not?
Because we had our worst season, and arguably since
So that's what's
14.
wild, man. That's what honestly brings me joy. Not gonna lie, maybe this is petty, but like this is also sport. Like it was the worst season we've had, and we've still finished above Arsenal. That's wild. We should have finished. We should have finished above them a long time ago, no doubt. But make no mistake, man. Like Mourinho did a lot to bring us down. Ryan Mason's not the man to turn the ship around, obviously. So, given like everything that happened, yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind. Finishing the season with European football, with Gareth Bale scoring the last few goals, with Kane winning some great individual awards, and then the cherry on top of all of that is Arsenal finishing below us. So, like, I really don't mind that whatsoever. It's not like a highlight for me, but it is very nice.
I just remember when we lost the Champions League final, I remember West Ham fans celebrating like it was their best day of their lives, and Arsenal fans celebrating like it was the best day of their lives. I don't know. I just don't want to be. I don't want to be that fan. I don't want to be. Not that it's a bad thing. I don't want that to be the peak of my Tottenham season, is that we finished above Arsenal despite everything. I don't know.
We're dealing in extremes here, right? Like just because we finished above Arsenal does not mean we had a good season. No one should make that argument.
I'm just trying not to overcorrect.
Yeah, right. I feel you.
But I mean, obviously, I think in the future, at least next week, now that we don't have any matches to kind of cover after the fact, I think we're going to do some season breakdown and some individual player grading. So, I mean, how do you feel in general, though, leaving today? How do you feel with a Harry Kane? Let's pretend for a second we're not going to have a tumultuous summer, which we are, but let's pretend we're not. Our star player just won the Golden Boot and potentially locked in Player of the Year. We did make Europe again, though it wasn't the competition that we wanted. We finally got rid of Mourinho, which you and I both agreed it was just not working. And we finished we went into today. I went into today not with a lot of confidence, thinking we were going to do anything against Leicester, who won the FA Cup, who needed this win today, who are going to put on a show.
Right.
So, are you walking away today with feeling on a positive note?
I feel great, and I feel great because the season's over. This horrible season has ended. This very tumultuous season has ended. Who knows what next season brings, right? And I can't worry about that right now. What I can be happy about is that the long slog of this season is over, and on the last day, on the last match, we exceeded expectations. Finally, we played, or maybe not played better than expected, but we got a result that was better than what we expected. I think every Spurs fan expected to get spanked today. And, I mean, you look at the XG, and I'm sure that Leicester had a lot more chances than us, right? But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because we somehow, some way, shithoused our way into a 4-2 win. So I'm feeling good because I'm also excited about whoever the next manager is. I'm excited to get some new blood in. I'm excited to see what type of players they'd be interested in keeping and moving on and bringing in. So the future is bright. I really do think so.
So who goes? Let's sound off.
Who's going? Lamela. Let's see, where's my marker at? Okay, so Lamela. I think Sissoko's gone.
Yep.
One of Dele, Gio. Yeah, one of Dele or Gio, I think.
Well, before we get into the midfield, because that's going to be interesting.
But okay. So let's just
let's work back. I think obviously Aurier's gone, right? With his quote unquote illness, Aurier's out. He's already. Him and PSG have basically locked it up. He's going to go back and hang out with Poch.
Aurier looks to be gone. I would imagine that Toby's
probably
one of. So it depends. So one of Toby or Sanchez, I think. It depends on who the manager wants to bring in. If they want to bring in someone experienced, then I think Toby will make room. If they want to bring in someone like a Joachim Anderson, then I think Sanchez will make room for that. Because
I think Sanchez, and we can do 45 minutes on Sanchez, but again, he just turned 23, tons of talent. I don't think Levy's
I don't think that. I don't want him to go. Right.
No, I just don't think Levy's ready to sell, because he's not going to get what he paid for. He's not going to get 40-something million pounds.
Sure.
So I mean, and remember before Ndombele, I think he was one of our highest signings. So I don't think, and if you tried to sell him right now, you're basically shortchanging yourself 15 to 20 mil, and I think that's a lot. I don't see him going. I do see Toby or Aurier and
what about Dyer?
I don't know. Dyer's a question mark for me. I mean, not who we want, but who we think would go. I think Dyer ends up staying here. I don't think he goes. I think Doherty probably gets another year. I think Ben Davies gets more time. And another question mark would be what happens to Sergio Reguilon.
I think he stays. I think
we want him to stay. I think we'd love for him to stay. I just don't know what Real Madrid's going to do as far as staying. So
I'll tell you right now, he does not look like a Real Madrid player. Like, I mean,
to me,
never mind starting, but as a backup, I don't think he's good enough.
No, but here's the thing. Again, and I'm not bringing age into it. Somebody made the point that he looks like a young Kyle Walker, extremely pacey, relies maybe too much on his pace. But as he grows that defensive side of his game, he can start to become a really, really dangerous player. And he may not be at that point right now. But you give him a year or two, and Sergio Reguilon could be one of the best left backs in the league if he stays in the Premier League. And I really believe that.
I want him to stay.
Yeah.
I want him to stay. But I just don't think – I mean, I want him to stay because he's good enough, I think, for Spurs. But he's not good enough for Real Madrid, and that's why I think he does stay.
Hopefully Madrid agrees with you.
Yeah, no, hopefully, right?
Moving into the midfield, again, I think what's going to be interesting is what's happening in the back room right now with Tanguy and Ndombele. He's not fit. I don't care what the news says. I mean, when he came out, he never got hurt. Nothing was reported out of training. Every now and then he's just not on the team sheet. As soon as Mourinho left, he was just basically iced out for some reason. Whether it's his attitude, whether it's the organizational attitude, I have a real concern about what's happening with the future of Tanguy and Ndombele with Spurs this summer.
I think he's waiting. I think every player, barring perhaps Kane, but to a certain extent him as well, is waiting to see who the next manager is and how they're going to be used. If the next manager, let's say, for example, Graham Potter comes in, Nuno Santos comes in, and he says, you know what, Tanguy, you're going to start off on the bench, I think he's going to want to get out.
I'm just wondering what's with the game already? Like, he could be waiting for a new manager, but that doesn't really explain the last month. It doesn't. And so I don't know. I think if there's something going on, I think a decision maybe has already been made. I just think it'll be interesting to see how it kind of plays out for Tanguy. Do you remember when Lo Celso or Bruno Fernandes was like the big question mark? Like, which one's better?
It's a shame because I think Lo Celso is very good. Maybe not as good as Bruno Fernandes, but he's good, man, and he should be playing.
I don't think he's anywhere close to Bruno Fernandes. That's a hell of a player, but. Yeah, no, I just it's a shame their evaluations were so close originally. It's kind of funny to see how things played out, but GLC stays. They've already they've taken the option on him. He's here for the long term. And Dele is also a big question mark. What happens with him? Now we know Daniel Levy's a huge Dele fan. Which is one of the big arguments that him and Mourinho had was because Mourinho iced out Dele and he wanted Dele to play. So I have a feeling. Unless Dele really wants to leave, I think Dele is part of.
I mean, what if PSG come in with $40 million?
Dele's going to say, "Send me to PSG." That's what he's going to want to do.
I wouldn't mind that. I would not mind him going to PSG for 40 or 50 mil pounds.
No.
I think that's a smart.
The way he played today.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I like him. I really do like him, and obviously he's better than what he showed today. But again, just one of those players that has already been through the cycle with Spurs. you know. And I'm not saying that everyone should be replaced, but if we can get really good money for them,
right,
man, it's enticing, you know. If we can get good money for them and they're not a linchpin part of this team, it's very enticing. So let's take a step back though. So let's start off with Winks. Is he gone?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Pretty easy answer there.
Yeah, I mean, I think for what has been coming in for him, and we know it's weird because Winks is kind of like that Dele Alli. We know that Daniel Levy is a big fan of Harry Winks. We know it. We've seen it on the documentary. He was like telling. Remember when him and Mourinho were having a conversation after a match, and he was just like, "Hey, how about Harry Winks? You see him? He even had some forward passes, and they were like, he's going to be a nice player, yada yada." I think Daniel Levy really believes in her, and I think, and remember we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, how much control Levy has over the lineups that's being put out by Ryan Mason.
Yeah,
I think that's why we also see a lot of Harry Winks. So I think they're trying to evaluate where Winks has a place in the squad. And while I never really root against the player, I didn't want Winks to play so well because I don't want anybody to think like, oh, this is a good option for us. It's a good option for a rotational player. It's not a top 4 club midfielder by far. Maybe not even a top 6.
Distinctly mid-table, man.
Yeah,
distinctly mid-table, especially when you have the talent on the bench or in the squad for that midfield position. So, yeah, I agree. I think Winks might be looking elsewhere. Højbjerg staying, of course, and Ndombele, we've already talked about him. Sissoko, I think, is also gone. Are we missing anyone in midfield? Double pivot?
No, I mean we have our loanees like Skip and stuff. We could talk about that in a different video.
That's in the different video for sure.
But no, I think that basically covers it. Now we move into the forward area. Lamela, obviously, he's gone. I think Lucas stays. Son, again, we could have a whole conversation about him and Son and the year he's had. What a tale of thirds, I guess is how you want to put it.
So let me take a step back. You think Lucas stays?
I do.
Really?
Yep.
Break that down for me.
I think the contract's in place for him to stay. I think he has a place on the squad. I think he's happy here where he is. I think he likes playing for this club. I think he knows he's going to get a run in, especially now that we've made it back to Europe with all the competitions. He's going to get plenty of time. And I think at the end of the day, he knows he's in the place he should be. I don't see him leaving. I also think it's a little bit managerial too.
I wonder, he's 29, 30. I wonder if Levy might be thinking of cashing out.
If he can. I don't know.
Maybe a return to PSG. Even though I don't think Poch really liked him.
You want to hear a fun tweet?
Yeah.
Gareth Bale has finished the season with as many goals as Marcus Rashford, Sadio Mane, and Wilfried Zaha. More goals than Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Edison Cavani, Sterling, Firmino, and Jesus. Wow.
I mean, here's the thing, man. There were so many people saying that Bale was a bad signing. That midway through the season, flop of the season.
That's that Mourinho factor, man.
Look at that. He has been a good signing.
Yeah. Just,
you can't argue against it. He has been a good signing. Like the amount of the goal per game ratio or whatever. I'm gonna look this up real quick. Like that's really, really good.
I think he has one of the highest goals per minutes in the Premier League.
I believe it.
So, but yeah. So again, Bale's also a good question. Obviously, we've talked about that. It's not really a question of whether he stays or goes. It's not really up to. I don't think it's so much. I think it's more 50.
Real quick, he's in the 99th percentile for non-penalty goals at 0.64 per 90.
Yeah, that is.
That's a good signing. That is a very good signing. So yeah. Kudos to Levy there for pulling that off.
Yep. And again, lastly, I think we're at Harry. I mean, I think he's going to try to go. I think Levy will listen to offers. I just don't know that it actually transpires. There's only a couple of suitors, really, especially if he wants to stay in the Premier League. I don't think United go after him. I think United really want the Dortmund player, Haaland. And I think,
Haaland, yeah.
Chelsea want him. I don't know if Levy can stomach that, especially in London. I know Harry really doesn't care. And then if there really just leaves City, which is honestly probably the best fit and the place I wouldn't mind the most. So yeah, I mean, there's really only a few destinations, but if Levy and City can't get on the same page, he just may see out his contract here.
I think he will be sold at some point. I mean, his contract runs till 2024.
Right.
So I don't see him staying that long. But I also don't really see him going this season, this summer. So.
Well, I also believe he's a super professional, and I also think that if he doesn't get sold, and he stays here, I don't see it affecting him on the pitch. And maybe that's naive for me, but I don't. I think he's just somebody that loves to score, that loves results. He can't help it. It's who he is. It's in his DNA. I think, yes, would he be happier maybe potentially somewhere else where he has a bigger chance to win trophies and add to his overall mystique of Harry Kane? Yeah, of course. But I think if he ends up staying here just out of sheer we couldn't find a deal, then I don't think that affects his play.
I think I agree. And the most important thing, one of the most important things about the next manager is that they bring positive offensive football. That's really, really important. And I think that's very important to Harry Kane as well, because if he's enjoying himself and he's scoring, I think he's happy to be at Spurs. If he's scoring goals and the team is doing well and we are getting Champions League and we're getting those opportunities for at least the FA Cup or a League Cup or whatever, I think he's happy to stay. But if we're playing Mourinho ball, and even with playing Mourinho ball, he has such a stellar season, and we still finish 7th, then I mean, I totally understand why he would want to go.
Yeah.
Last question to wrap this up: top 1, 2, or 3 transfers that you'd like to see come in that would, what does the lineup look like next season? That would excite you, that you're like, yes, this is going to be a great season.
You know what? As I look at the final standings and I realize we were 3 points off from being in the bottom half of the table, let's let that sink in for a little bit.
Come on, man! This is supposed to be a positive vibe. Come on.
Yeah. I think anybody. Look, I think we talked about it last week. That defender, Matthias Ginter, I think is somebody I'd
Have
really
we had
like.
any links to him?
Yep, a few. Sabitzer, I think, would be good. But then again, I think if we end up keeping Ndombele, GLC, and Sabitzer is an option, that's a great trio in the midfield. Sabitzer to me is more like the Tielemans. I think he needs a little bit of time. I think there's a lot of potential there, but I think he's a good player. And Tielemans, like this year, he really stepped up last year. People thought he was maybe a little bit of a disappointment. But yeah, I think that would be. But at the end of the day, what we really, really need is an actual defense. I think we need 2 center backs. I think we need a better, if we're going to keep up with this attacking fullback style of play, then we need better players who can do that. Because right now it's just not working out. They're not a 10 going forward, and they're not a 10 defending. They're kind of a 5 at each right now. I want to see Sessegnon brought back and played. I don't think he plays the odd match every few weeks, and if that's going to be the case, then loan him out again. But to me, that's somebody that could be kind of like a new signing. I think he got a lot of experience, and he looks very good and dangerous over in Germany. And
good point.
As far as specific names other than Ginter, there's just been so many, and Anderson, of course, from Fulham / Olympique Lyonnais. There's just been so many nonsense links. I don't know. I don't know what our budget's going to be like. I don't know who we have to sell. I don't know, kind of what the P&L looks like. If it's anything like it's looked like in the past, I know we're not going to sign anybody till July or August, so it's going to be a long summer. If Kane
Mm-hmm.
goes and we have that war chest, I guess if you want to call it that, anything's fair game, and we'll see.
I think I agree. Hey, I just got a note that your mic is too low. So maybe turn that bad boy up. You sound good to me, but
Oh, yeah?
yeah. I think you're absolutely right. I would like to see Sabitzer here. Man, what about Ben White as a center back? Ben White as a center back would be an absolute coup. I don't think we'll ever get him, but that'd be incredible. A Lewis Dunk.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm fangirling
Graham Potter?
Brighton too much, but Lewis Dunk.
Just bring
if we
over
bring in-
Brighton.
if we are able to bring in Lewis Dunk and Yves Bissouma, I think that's a great start to the window.
Yeah.
That truly is a great start to the window. Just someone in the back who knows how to organize a defense, knows how to head the ball clear, knows how to manage one-on-ones, isn't nervous, is supremely confident in their ability. That exudes to the rest of the back four, right? So that's exactly the type of player that we need. And then someone in that I would like to see us play in a 4-3-3. I know you mentioned that you don't really care what system we play. That's fine. But if we have Højbjerg as the anchor of the triangle, right? And then we have someone like Ndombele or Yves Bissouma / Sabitzer to act as shuttles. That's a really, really stellar midfield. I think it all depends on whether Kane leaves or not. If Kane leaves, we have so much more money to play around with. If he stays, we have a little bit limited money, but we keep a stellar player. So it really, truly is a win-win, I think.
All right. Well, with that said, listen, we came in with little hope, and we ended up winning out 4-2 thanks to Gareth Bale. Who knew?
We made it. We made it. Literally, we made it through the season. How?
Leicester would bottle it against the championship bottlers. So, thank you, Leicester.
It's embarrassing, Leicester. Actually embarrassed.
The Spurs fans were embarrassed. But we made it through. Keep coming back. We got some really good content planned for the next few weeks. We're excited to put it out, and we're excited to come back next season with you guys right after the matches. So, as always, from John and from Andres, catch you next time.
See you guys.
On the break.